H.E. Abiy Ahmed Ali, Ph.D., is the fourth Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. He was born on August 15, 1976 in the small town of Beshasha, located near Agaro, Oromia. Raised by a Muslim father and a Christian mother, the values of tolerance and understanding across divides were instilled in him at an early age. H.E. Abiy Ahmed was sworn in as the Prime Minister of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia on April 2, 2018. Inheriting a divided society, in all his speeches and actions Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has made national unity, peaceful coexistence, shared growth, and regional integration a central theme of his administration. His inaugural speech inspired hope and renewed collective sense of purpose in Ethiopia. He has rich and wide-ranging experiences serving government in different roles, offering a unique blend of leadership, vision, and knowledge in professional and organization skills. Determined to resist the oppression of the Ethiopian people, as a young man, H.E. Abiy Ahmed first joined the armed struggle against the Derg socialist regime. While serving at the Ethiopian National Defense Force, he rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel. Among his various roles in government, he has served as the head of the OPDO Secretariat, Vice President of the Oromia Regional Government, Ministry of Science and Technology, Founding Director of the Information Network Security Agency and founder and head of the Government Research Institute, Science and Technology Information Center. Since being sworn into office as Prime Minister, he broke with tradition, launching deeper political and economic reforms that swept across the country. An original change agent and a blunt reformer, breaking the walls of division and building bridges of reconciliation and peace constituted the defining themes of his reform efforts. Under his leadership, thousands of prisoners were released, open discussions and consultations held with opposition political parties, some of whom were previously dubbed as terrorists. A historic rapprochement and peace agreement was concluded with neighboring Eritrea. A transformational agenda for legal and justice sector reform has been set in motion, and some of the largest public enterprises are to be partially privatized as part of a broader market liberalization and economic reform. Agenda. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed holds an MA in Transformational Leadership, a Master's in Business Administration and a Ph.D. from the Institute for Peace and Security Studies of Addis Ababa University. He and his wife First Lady Zinash Tayakyo are proud parents of 3 daughters and a recently adopted son. The current Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, was born on August 15, 1976, in Beshasha, Ethiopia. His father, Ahmed Ali, was a Muslim, and his mother, Tezeta Wolde, a Christian. As a child, he attended primary school in Beshasha and secondary school in nearby Agaro. As a teen in 1990, he joined the rebels fighting the Derg regime who were controlling Ethiopia at the time. After the Derg was overthrown in 1987, Abiy joined the Ethiopian National Defense Forces and rose in the ranks to lieutenant colonel. He served as a peacekeeping officer for the United Nations in Rwanda from 1995 to 1997. When he returned to Ethiopia in 1998, he continued his education, earning a bachelor's degree in computer engineering. In 2007, Ahmed was made head of the Information Network Security Agency, which is responsible for government cybersecurity. In 2010 he was elected to the House of People's Representatives, the national legislature, to represent his home region. In 2011 he was awarded a master's degree in transformational leadership and earned a second master's in 2013. In 2017 he was awarded a Ph.D. from Addis Ababa University. In 2016 Ahmed was appointed to the position of Minister of Science and Technology in the Ethiopian government. In February of 2018, when Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn resigned, Ahmed was elected Prime Minister by the House of People's Representatives in April 2018. He was the first member of the Oromo ethnic group, the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia, to hold the position. At the age of 42, Prime Minister Ahmed embarked on radical changes in Ethiopia. Many people arrested for political reasons by the former regime were freed. He invited opposition figures in exile to return and encouraged foreign investment to boost economic growth. The first woman president, Sahle-Work Zewde, was appointed and Ahmed's cabinet was gender-balanced. He lifted restrictions on the media, encouraging a freer press and fostered national unity while celebrating the diversity of Ethiopia's many ethnic, linguistic, cultural, and religious groups. In 2018, Ahmed ended the 20-year war with neighboring Eritrea when he accepted the results of a border mediation recommendation and met with the president of Eritrea, Isaias Afwerki. On July 9, 2018, the two countries announced that the state of war between them had ended, and as a result, Ahmed was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019 for his efforts at peace building. Ahmed's national policies did not always have the intended effect. In some areas, ethnic tensions were exacerbated and there were political tensions within the ruling party. In 2019, when he attempted to reshape the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front into a new political party, the Prosperity Party, some groups resisted. The Tigray People's Liberation Front, which controlled Tigray province, resisted Ahmed's efforts, resulting in armed conflict beginning in November 2020. The conflict continues to this day with thousands killed and many more displaced or contending with famine on both sides of the conflict. Abiy Ahmed, 46, is married to a noted Ethiopian gospel singer, Zinash Tayachu. They are Pentecostal Christians and have 3 daughters and 1 son. Abiy Ahmed Ali, born August 15, 1976, is an Ethiopian politician serving as the 3rd Prime Minister of Ethiopia since 2018, and as a leader of the Prosperity Party since 2019. He was awarded the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to achieve peace and international cooperation, and in particular for his decisive initiative to resolve the border conflict with neighboring Eritrea. Abiy served as the 3rd chairman of the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, EPRD, that governed Ethiopia for 28 years and the first person of Oromo descent to hold that position. Abiy is a member of the Ethiopian Parliament, and was a member of the Oromo Democratic Party, ODP, one of the then 4 coalition parties of the EPRD, until its rule ceased in 2019 and he formed his own party, the Prosperity Party. In June 2020, Abiy and the National Election Board of Ethiopia, NEBE, postponed parliamentary elections because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The postponement was criticized, especially from the opposition, and raised questions about the delay's constitutional legitimacy. An election was eventually held in 2021. The African Union described the election as an improvement compared to the 2015 election and positive overall, urging the government to continue the commitment to democracy. Abiy Ahmed was born in the small town of Beshasha, Jimma Zone, Ethiopia. His deceased father, Ahmed Ali, was a Muslim Oromo. Abiy's father was a typical Oromo farmer, speaking only Oromo. Abiy is the 13th child of his father and the 6th and youngest child of his mother, the 4th of his father's 4 wives. His childhood name was Abiyat, English, Revolution. The name was sometimes given to children in the aftermath of the Ethiopian Revolution in the mid-1970s. The then Abiyat went to the local primary school and later continued his studies at secondary schools in Agaro town. Abiy, according to several personal reports, was always very interested in his own education and later in his life also encouraged others to learn and to improve. Abiy married Zinash Tayachu, an Amhara woman from Gondar, while both were serving in the Ethiopian National Defense Force. They are the parents of 3 daughters and 1 adopted son. Abiy speaks Oromo, Amharic, Tigrinya, and English. He is a fitness aficionado and professes that physical health goes hand in hand with mental health and, as such, he frequents physical and gym activities in Addis Ababa. Abiy is a Pentecostal Christian, born of a Muslim father and a Christian mother. He was raised in a family of religious plurality. Abiy and his family are regular church attendees, and he also occasionally ministers in preaching and teaching the gospel at the Ethiopian Full Gospel Believers Church. His wife Zinash Tayachu is also a Christian who ministers in her church as a gospel singer. While serving in the Ethiopian National Defense Force, Abiy received his first degree, a bachelor's degree in computer engineering from the Microlink Information Technology College in Addis Ababa in 2009. Abiy holds a Master of Arts in Transformational Leadership 37 earned from the Business School at Greenwich University, London, in collaboration with the International Leadership Institute, Addis Ababa, in 2011. He also holds a Master of Business Administration from the Leadstar College of Management and Leadership in Addis Ababa in partnership with Ashland University in 2013. Abiy, who had started his Doctor of Philosophy, Ph.D., work as a regular student, submitted his Ph.D. thesis in 2016, and defended it in 2017 at the Institute for Peace and Security Studies, Addis Ababa University. He did his Ph.D. work on the Agaro constituency with the Ph.D. thesis entitled Social Capital and its Role in Traditional Conflict Resolution in Ethiopia, the Case of Interreligious Conflict in Jimma Zone State, supervised by Amr Abdullah. In 2022, Alex Duval described Abiy's Ph.D. thesis as constituting an anecdote on an event in which an individual friendship between people of opposite sides augmented social capital and inspired the resolution of a local violent conflict in Jimma Zone. Duval saw the thesis as perhaps enough for an undergraduate paper, but not deep enough to cover social capital, background literature on armed conflict and resolution, or literature on identity, nationalism, and conflict. Abiy published a related short research article on de-escalation strategies in the Horn of Africa in a special journal issue dedicated to countering violent extremism. At the age of 14, in early 1991, he joined the armed struggle against the Marxist, Leninist regime of Mengistu Haile Mariam after the death of his oldest brother. He was a child soldier, affiliated to the Oromo People's Democratic Organization, OPDO, which at that time was a tiny organization of only around 200 fighters, part of the large coalition army of the EPRDF, which had over 100,000 fighters that resulted in the regime's fall later that year. As there were only so few OPDO fighters in an army with its core of about 90,000 Tigrayans, Abiy quickly had to learn the Tigrinya language. As a speaker of Tigrinya in a security apparatus dominated by Tigrayans, he could move forward with his military career. In 2006, Abiy was one of the co-founders of the Ethiopian Information Network Security Agency, INSA, where he worked in different positions. For 2 years, he was acting director of INSA due to the director's leave of absence. In this capacity, he was board member of several government agencies working on information and communications, like Ethio Telecom and Ethiopian Television. He attained the rank of lieutenant colonel before deciding in 2010 to leave the military and his post as deputy director of INSA, Information Network Security Agency, to become a politician. Abiy started his political career as a member of the Oromo Democratic Party, ODP. The ODP has been the ruling party in Oromia region since 1991 and also one of 4 coalition parties of the ruling coalition in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, EPRDF. He became a member of the Central Committee of ODP and Congress member of the Executive Committee of the EPRDF in quick succession. In the 2010 national election, Abiy represented the district of Agaro and became an elected member of the House of People's Representatives, the lower chamber of the Ethiopian Federal Parliamentary Assembly. Before and during his time of parliamentary service, there were several religious clashes among Muslims and Christians in Jimma Zone. Some of these confrontations turned violent and resulted in the loss of life and property. Abiy, as an elected member of parliament, took a proactive role in working with several religious institutions and elders to bring about reconciliation in the zone. He helped set up a forum entitled Religious Forum for Peace, an outcome of the need to devise a sustainable resolution mechanism to restore peaceful Muslim-Christian community interaction in the region. In 2014, during his time in parliament, Abiy became the Director General of a new and in 2011 founded government research institute called Science and Technology Information Center, STIC. The following year, Abiy became an executive member of ODP. The same year he was elected to the House of People's Representatives for a second term, this time for his home ward of Gama. Starting from 2015, Abiy became one of the central figures in the violent fight against illegal land grabbing activities in Oromia region and especially around Addis Ababa. Although the Addis Ababa master plan at the heart of the land grabbing plans was stopped in 2016, the disputes continued for some time, resulting in injuries and deaths. It was this fight against land grabbing that finally boosted Abiy Ahmed's political career, brought him into the spotlight and allowed him to climb the political ladder. In October 2015, Abiy became the Ethiopian Minister of Science and Technology, MOST, a post which he left after only 12 months. From October 2016 on, Abiy served as Deputy President of Oromia Region as part of the team of Oromia Region's President Lemma Megersa while staying a member of the Ethiopian Federal House of People's Representatives. Abiy Ahmed also became the head of the Oromia Urban Development and Planning Office. In this role, Abiy was expected to be the major driving force behind Oromia economic revolution, Oromia land and investment reform, youth employment as well as resistance to widespread land grabbing in Oromia region. As one of his duties in office, he took care of the 1 million displaced Oromo people displaced from the Somali region from the 2017 unrest. As head of the ODP Secretariat from October 2017, Abiy facilitated the formation of a new alliance between the Oromo and Amhara groups, which together constitute 2/3 of the Ethiopian population. In early 2018, many political observers considered Abiy and Lemma Megersa as the most popular politicians within the Oromo community, as well as other Ethiopian communities. This came after several years of unrest in Ethiopia. But despite this favorable rating for Abiy Ahmed and Lemma Megersa, young people from the Oromia region called for immediate action without delays to bring fundamental change and freedom to Oromia region and Ethiopia, otherwise more unrest was to be expected. According to Abiy himself, people are asking for a different rhetoric, with an open and respectful discussion in the political space to allow political progress and to win people for democracy instead of pushing them. Until early 2018, Abiy continued to serve as head of the ODP Secretariat and of the Oromia Housing and Urban Development Office and as Deputy President of Oromia Region. He left all these posts after his election as the leader of the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front. Following 3 years of protest and unrest, on February 15, 2018 the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Haile Mariam Desalegn, announced his resignation, which included his resignation from the post of EPRDF chairman. With the EPRDF's large majority in parliament, its EPRDF chairman was all but assured of becoming the next prime minister. The EPRDF chairman, on the other hand, is one of the heads of the 4 parties that make up the ruling coalition: Oromo Democratic Party, ODP, Amhara Democratic Party, ADP, Southern Ethiopian People's Democratic Movement, SEPM, and Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF. Haile Mariam's resignation triggered the first ever contested leadership election among EPRDF coalition members to replace him. A lot of political observers made Lemma Megersa, the ODP chairman, and Abiy Ahmed the front-runners to become the leader of the ruling coalition and eventually Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Despite being the clear favorite for the general public, Lemma Megersa was not a member of the national parliament, a requirement to become prime minister as required by the Ethiopian constitution. Therefore, Lemma Megersa was excluded from the leadership race. On February 22, 2018, Lemma Megersa's party, ODP, called for an emergency executive committee meeting and replaced him as chairman of ODP with Abiy Ahmed, who was a member of parliament. Some observers saw that as a strategic move by the ODP to retain its leadership role within the coalition and to promote Abiy Ahmed to become prime minister. On March 1, 2018, the 180 EPIRDF Executive Committee members started their meeting to elect the leader of the party. Each of the four parties sent in 45 members. The contest for the leadership was among Abiy Ahmed of ODP, Demek Mekanen, the Deputy Prime Minister and ADP leader, Shifra Shijut as chairman of SEPM and Debretsion Gebremichael as the leader of TPLF. Despite being the overwhelming favorite by the majority of Ethiopians, Abiy Ahmed faced major opposition from TPLF and SEPM members during the leadership discussions. On March 27, 2018, a few hours before the beginning of the leadership elections, Demek Mekanen, who had been seen as the major opponent to Abiy Ahmed, dropped out of the race. Many observers saw this as an endorsement of Abiy Ahmed. Demek was then approved as Deputy Prime Minister for another term. Following Demek's exit, Abiy Ahmed received a presumably unanimous vote from both the ADP and ODP executive members, with 18 additional votes in a secret ballot coming from elsewhere. By midnight, Abiy Ahmed was declared chairman of the ruling coalition in Ethiopia, the EPIRDF, and was considered as the Prime Minister designate of Ethiopia by receiving 108 votes, while Shifra Shijut received 58 and Debretsion Gebremichael received 2 votes. On April 2, 2018, Abiy Ahmed was elected as Prime Minister of Ethiopia by the House of Representatives and sworn in. On April 2, 2018, Abiy was confirmed and sworn in by the Ethiopian Parliament as Prime Minister of Ethiopia. During his acceptance speech, he promised political reform, to promote the unity of Ethiopia and unity among the peoples of Ethiopia, to reach out to the Eritrean government to resolve the ongoing Eritrean-Ethiopian border conflict after the Eritrean-Ethiopian war, and to also reach out to the political opposition inside and outside of Ethiopia. His acceptance speech sparked optimism and received an overwhelmingly positive reaction from the Ethiopian public, including the opposition groups inside and outside Ethiopia. Following his speech, his popularity and support across the country reached a historical high, and some political observers argued that Abiy was overwhelmingly more popular than the ruling party coalition, the EPIRDF. Since taking office in April 2018, Abiy's government has presided over the release of thousands of political prisoners from Ethiopian jails and the rapid opening of the country's political landscape. In May 2018 alone, the Oromo region pardoned over 7,600 prisoners. On May 29, Jinbut 7 leader Andar Gashitsaj, facing the death penalty on terrorism charges, was released after being pardoned by President Mulatu Teshome, along with 575 other detainees. In 2018, to expand the free press in Ethiopia, Abiy invited exiled media outlets to return. One of the media outlets invited to return was ESAT, which had called for the genocide of Ethiopian Tigrayans. However, since assuming office in April 2018, Abiy himself had, as of March 2019, only given one press conference, on August 25, 2018, and around 5 months after he assumed office, where he answered questions from journalists. As of March 21, 2019, he has not given another press conference where he has not refused to answer questions from journalists, rather than reading prepared statements. In June 2018, the ruling coalition announced its intention to pursue the large-scale privatization of state-owned enterprises and the liberalization of several key economic sectors long considered off-limits, marking a landmark shift in the country's state-oriented development model. State monopolies in the telecommunications, aviation, electricity, and logistics sectors are to be ended, and those industries opened up to private sector competition. Shares in the state-owned firms in those sectors, including Ethiopian Airlines, Africa's largest and most profitable, are to be offered for purchase to both domestic and foreign investors, although the government will continue to hold a majority share in these firms, thereby retaining control of the commanding heights of the economy. State-owned enterprises in sectors deemed less critical, including railway operators, sugar, industrial parks, hotels, and various manufacturing firms, may be fully privatized. Aside from representing an ideological shift with respect to views on the degree of government control over the economy, the move was seen as a pragmatic measure aimed at improving the country's dwindling foreign exchange reserves, which by the end of the 2017 fiscal year were equal in value to less than 2 months' worth of imports, as well as easing its growing sovereign debt load. In June 2018, Abiy announced the government's intention to establish an Ethiopian stock exchange in tandem with the privatization of state-owned enterprises. As of 2015, Ethiopia was the largest country in the world, in terms of both population and gross domestic product, without a stock exchange. Ethiopia is a country of various religious groups, primarily Christian and Muslim communities. Both interreligious and intrareligious divisions and conflicts were a major concern, where both the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church and the Ethiopian Islamic Council experienced religious and administrative divisions and conflicts. In 2018, he was given a special Peace and Reconciliation Award by the Ethiopian Church for his work in reconciling rival factions within the Church. In the parliamentary session held on October 16, 2018, Abiy proposed to reduce the number of ministries from 28 to 20 with half of the cabinet positions for female ministers, a first in the history of the country. The new cabinet restructure included the first female president, Sahle-Work Zewde, the first female minister of the Ministry of Defense, Aisha Mohammed Musa, the first female minister of the new Ministry of Peace, Mufariyat Kamal responsible for the Ethiopian Federal Police and the intelligence agencies, the first female press secretary for the office of the Prime Minister, Tezeta Wolde. Thank you for watching this video.